All right. So why do men be such jerks to women?
Are they such jerks?
Yeah. Why are they meanie heads to women?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Is that the whole question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like in the Bible and still.
Okay.
Why haven't we figured that out?
Right.
And why do some of them suck?
Right. But not all men are jerks. You kind of paint them like all men are jerks.
Well, that's the phrase.
Is that all men are jerks?
All men suck. There aren't any good men out there.
But that's not true, though.
They're either taken or gay.
That's not true, though.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not true.
All right, okay, fine, most of them.
Okay.
Talk about those guys.
But I do like the question.
Yeah.
Because the reality is you have a lot of men.
Why are they so mean to women?
Okay, so you want to specifically align it with that?
Yeah.
Oh, why are they so mean to women?
Yeah.
I think it goes back to that domineering thing that men have in them, like to want to rule, to want to control. And so in Genesis, actually, it speaks about this. And so
right off the bat,
well, actually, it's related to the curse,
right?
Of sin's consequences. And so this is what the Lord said to the woman in verse 16 in Genesis 3. He said to the woman, I will intensify your labor pains. You will bear children with painful effort. Your desire will be for your husband, yet he will rule over you. And I think really from that point on, that's what you end up seeing. Ruling. Yeah.
Okay.
Is domineering or being authoritative.
So why are men
whatever.
such evil rulers of women?
Yeah, I think when I'm kind of getting to it, I think it all goes back to this point.
Okay.
Where you had a sense of men and women that they were together, that there was a when it talks about that, uses that word helpmeet. Remember in Genesis 2?
Oh yeah.
When it says that the woman would be a helpmeet, and really what it means is like she'll be like an opposite facing the other, and and so strength corresponding with or confronting. And so I think there's a sense of like, but that was not in an unhealthy way, right? Because it was neither of them had a sin nature in them. They were not fallen. They were in perfect relationship with one another. Fall happens. Relationship breaks. And so now that strength that Adam had is, now being confronted a little bit by Eve. And I think from that point on, that's what starts happening. And so he's not only wanting to rule over all of creation that he was given dominion to, but also rule over her as well.
Okay.
And that was never part of the original design, excuse me. And so the desire will be for your husband, the desire to be with him, desire to know his comfort and strength. And it goes, yet he will rule over you. In other words, the relationship is broken now. So now he's going to try to rule over you just like he is over all the rest of creation. And to make matters worse, now his work is hard because, the Lord curses the ground.
Because she doesn't listen.
Bro. Hold on. Good Lord. All right. The ground is cursed because of you, and you will eat from it by means of painful labor all the days of your life. So, in other words, now you're going to have to work hard, right?
Right.
And so now you've got, now the man has to work. Now he's wanting to rule. Now there's all this sense of this is, I'm in charge. This is what I have to do. And it kind of gets back to that woman serve me, woman make me feel better, woman alleviate some of this stress, pressure, angst, whatever I may be feeling. And I think sometimes that's what we're hoping for out of a woman, is for her to come alongside of us and help make our lives easier, more comfortable, whatever it may be. But the reality is that we're supposed to be, going on this, side by side. She's not just a servant for me to make my life easier or more comfortable or do certain things so I don't have to do those things,
Okay.
And so for me, I think that's again, a big part of this. And so,
but aren't men there to make their lives easier?
Mm-hmm.
So our lives are never supposed to be easier.
But I do think we enjoy our wives, right? We enjoy, hopefully you enjoy their company, both, emotionally and sexually and everything else. Like, hopefully there's an enjoyment there.
So
it's going both ways because they're having children, Lord willing, and
so all the
raising
stuff about
those kids.
God last week,
mm-hmm.
about how we're supposed to, way last week before Thanksgiving,
right?
That we're supposed to have feel like our work that we do is better because Jesus is taking care of part of it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we get our lives being easier. We submit to Jesus and then
okay. And I know that, like, in Ephesians 5, we talked about how hard it is for, like, how much work there is there for the male, right?
Yeah.
In relation to the wife. But remember, so often, the women are, and it is different in our day and time too, right? So for example, in this day and time, women are caring for the household. The women that's their charge, right? Like, so they're going to be caring for the kids, raising the kids,
right.
And often teaching the kids. That was kind of their role, quote unquote, right? And so you kind of had those defined roles in our day and time. A lot of women are working as well. Mm-hmm. So you have a lot of men and women needing to both work and both provide for or both care for the kids, both take care of the house. And I think sometimes it works beautifully, and sometimes that doesn't work so well. And the woman sometimes is often left with still having to go to work, come home, take care of the kids, make sure they're bathed, make sure they're fed, make sure the family's fed. Like, and then, and again, in other situations, it's much more, complementarian,
right.
And so, or egalitarian, whatever you want to call it, in regards to men are also helping, right, with the kids, with the food, that kind of thing, even though they're working as well.
Okay, so in today's day and time, how do you think men are horrible to women?
Okay,
when it comes to relationships or whatever and marriage,
right? Well, I think one thing too, and that's probably always been true, even back not I think it's always been true about it here. One of the things that men can do is reduce women down to being just sexual objects.
Okay.
Right. And so then it really is just about what they can get from that person.
Sexually.
Okay. Right. And so, yes, I enjoy your companionship because we have sex. Yes.
So how do men not think like that?
How do we not think like that?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying we don't have to think we shut off the sexual part of our brain or our being. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is that they're more than just, like, women are more than just a sexual object.
Okay.
And so, and how do we get to that point? We hope, well, of course, I'm going to speak from a Christian perspective, right? They're image bearers of God. They're made in the image of God. They need to be treated as image bearers of God. They need to be respected as image bearers of God. They need to be, valued as image bearers of God. So that's, not only bearing God's image, but, they're his creation. For those that are walking with the Lord, they're his daughters. Mm-hmm. And so we want to be those that are caring for his creation, caring for his and honoring his daughters. And so I think that's for me as a Christian, that's kind of the perspective I would want my own. I've got two boys. I want my boys to look at women that way, right? Mm-hmm. Not just as individuals to fulfill sexual desires, but individuals that are to be valued, that are to be, honored and cared for, and cherished. And so again, I'm not asking for the sexual part to be turned off. I'm just asking for them to be seen as more than that, and not just that, and not that that's even their primary value.
Okay,
right?
so let me ask it like this.
Okay.
Like when you marriage counsel and the man's the problem, what's the most common problem?
All right, I'll say this. Number one, stubbornness.
Okay.
I think stubbornness is a big deal. Like unwilling to change.
Okay.
This is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I want.
Okay.
She needs to get on board. Right?
All right.
Especially if they're like the primary provider,
Mm-hmm.
that comes across pretty heavily. Like, I provide all this for you. You should be appreciative.
Okay.
And so there's an unwillingness to see that their spouse is wanting more than just a provider. So I think that's probably that's one part of it.
Okay.
Two, communication. Men suck at communication, but women can suck at communication too.
Nuh-uh.
I know you're perfect at it, and I think that
I communicate goodly.
Wonderful. All right, and so no, but I think that's a big part too, is the communication.
Okay.
Not and one thing could be not communicating expectations.
Okay. What about spiritual stuff?
Okay, now that can be a real deal too.
Okay.
And again, it can go just simply back to the man not taking seriously his own walk with Christ.
And what does that look like when it plays out?
So to like extremes, it can look like the man doesn't value really spirituality at all, or God at all, or let me rephrase that.
But I mean, in the relationship.
Right, in the relationship, it can bring tension because especially if the woman is wanting her husband to be more involved at church, wanting her husband to be, come to the things the kids are at church, that kind of thing. And, especially if the husband's response is, well, I'm working, or I can't, or Sundays is my only day off. I don't want to waste it at church. I want to go fishing. I want to go to the golf course. I want to watch football, whatever it may be, right? I want to sleep in. So I think that's kind of where the resentment can start building up a little bit, where the woman feels like she's carrying all of the load spiritually. Of if our kids are going to have any kind of Christian values or know any of the scriptures, it's going to be because I'm taking them to church, or I'm reading, the little kids' Bible stories to them, or those kind of things. And that the husbands aren't doing any of those things with their children.
Okay.
Or in the home. So